Welcome back to your Sprinkle of Hope podcast. I'm your host, Jason, and today Shane and I are so excited to bring you this subject, which is overcoming challenges, obstacles, struggles, things in your life that could be holding you back from your true potential. So listen in. I really do hope you get something out of it.
We share some really practical, easy ways that you can overcome your struggles and trials in life, which they will come. But hopefully you get something out of this. And like always, if you like this, please share it with somebody who you might think will be touched by our message. We're truly grateful for all of the support that we feel from each one of you.
Welcome to the Sprinkled with Hope podcast.
Welcome back to your Sprinkle with Hope podcast and your host, Jason. And right off the bat, I'm hitting you with a quote. I know, shocking, right? So Stephen R. Covey, he started a whole thing about, personal development and things like that. And he's a super cool guy. So he had this quote that said, "We develop our character muscles by overcoming challenges and obstacles." And I like that, like thinking back to the physical. We have these muscles we've talked about brain muscle and working those and this is that character muscle that we're talking about and overcoming these challenges and struggles that we're often faced with. So I looked up the definition of challenge because I was just kind of curious. Sometimes I look at those to see what a definition is, and it says a task or situation that tests someone's abilities. Makes sense, right? You're challenged with a race or something like that. The other interesting thing is it says it also states dispute the truth or validity of, or make a rival claim to, or threaten someone's hold on a position. So I kind of think about it as like challenging yourself, right? You're challenging your position or someone else's position. I'd like to think of it in the context of ourselves, because that's really what we're talking about, is that challenge, that inner struggle that we all have, and challenge that inner struggle that you have with yourself and say, hey, what is it that is causing this problem? How do I get over it? Helen Keller, who was amazing, if you don't know her, look her up, but she said this: although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. So I like that, because yes, there is struggles, there is challenges, there is trials in life, but there's also the overcoming of those things and getting past these walls or barriers that you have in front of you that hold you from, reaching your full potential. So Shane and I are going to talk about this today. Super, super excited about this subject. We've had our own challenges and struggles that we've gone through, and hopefully you get something out of today.
Yeah, we really want to provide good content for you so that what you hear, what you see, what we talk about, what our guests talk about, really hopefully resonates with you, and you can take something that you hear on the podcast and implement it into your life so that you can get better. We all are going to have challenges, struggles, trials in life. I'm personally going through one right now that I've gone through the last few years, and I'm not going to get into details of that. I'll share how I push through my struggle in a little bit, but I'm going to start you off with a quote by Bob Proctor. He's a self-help author and lecturer, and when I saw this quote, it just hit me, because it encompasses a lot of the things that Jason and I talk about and are learning about. So he says, all the energy in the universe is evenly present in all places at the same time. We don't get energy, we release energy. And the triggering mechanism to release energy is desire. When you have a strong desire to do something, you will always have the energy to do it. And I seriously, when I saw that, I loved it, because Jason and I have talked about energy, and that, I hadn't thought about it, that we don't get energy. We're not pulling energy into us. It's in us, and we're releasing energy. And sometimes we'll say, oh, we're so tired and we don't want to do this or that. It's because of our energy. He says the triggering mechanism to release energy is desire. So if we're saying to ourselves, we're tired, we're struggling, we're going through a challenge, the way to overcome that is to release that energy, the energy of the negative that's in us. We release that. We're not pulling that negative energy into us. It's in us and we have to release it. It's just like positive energy, the positive energy that Jason and I are putting out into the world. Again, we're not drawing that to us. It's in us. We're putting it out to you. Hopefully you see that positive energy, you feel that, and it changes something in you. You have to decide the desire in you. We can't do that. We have to do that for ourselves, but that's the releasing mechanism to release that energy is desire, the desire within you. If you want to do something, then all you have to do is release the energy. Specifically talking about challenges and struggles, if you want to overcome that and not let that burden you or hinder you, then release that energy out from you. So I loved that quote, and again, I love learning more things, and I think we're tapping into how to understand energy within us. The other quote that I wanted to share right now is from Lou Holtz. He's a football coach. Back in the day, he was a Notre Dame football coach, and that he was that when I was growing up, and I really liked Notre Dame at the time. I liked his energy and his positive. And so he says, "Show me someone who has done something worthwhile, and I'll show you someone who has overcome adversity. Show me someone who has done something, and I'll show you someone who has overcome adversity." So the way I took that was every one of us is going to have adversity, struggles, trials, heartache. Something in life is going to want to drag us down. But if we do something, then again, that energy that we're putting out can show that we can do something worthwhile. We're going to all struggle, but we can overcome anything that happens in life.
I love that. And I just thinking about it and using my imagination, picturing, that energy that we have within us and positive or negative, what is it that we're putting out into the world? It's a cool visual to think about. So one of the things I always like to do is just kind of give a little bit of a list of things that you can use, tools, different things that will help you as you are thinking about whatever topic that we discuss. So today it's 10 ways to overcome challenges in your life. I've got 10 things. The first is make a plan. So you think about a plan that you have, goal, something like that. Even if you have the plan, making the plan in and of itself is a direction to go. Sometimes those plans don't come together, right? I've traveled, Shane's traveled all over the place. Sometimes those travel plans don't always work out the way you want them to, or you're like, okay, we're going to do this on this day, day 2, we're going to do this. And then, you get there and you're like, actually today, I don't really feel like doing that. And so you just don't do it. Right. But you had a plan going into it. So you kind of knew what to expect and how to go with things, and having a plan to overcome an obstacle, something like that, that'll be helpful. Second thing is know you're not alone. Shane and I always talk about this. We all face kind of that low point in life where we just feel like, man, this is about as low as I've ever been. But the reality is that there's always somebody there that's either gone through a similar situation. Sometimes you think you're alone. You're like, oh, I've got to be the only person struggling with this. You're not. I guarantee you there's somebody else in the world who's gone through that similar struggle. Shane and I have talked to a lot of those people that have different struggles that they've faced, and they've also felt alone. But when they found like a connection with others, that's really what helped them get over that challenge or hurdle. And some of them are still going through it. It's just they have a support system now, right? The other thing, so knowing you're not alone. The third thing is just asking for help. It's simply opening your mouth and saying, can you help me? Can you assist me? People are willing and able. They really are. Generally, we all inside of us want to help each other. So if you got somebody you know is going through a similar situation, just ask them, hey, do you have a few minutes to talk? Or I'm really feeling down or alone. Do you have, do you have some time for me? The fourth thing is feel your feelings. What I mean by that is covering them up doesn't make them disappear, right? You're still going to have those. So feel it. Really get into the feeling of that. Find a way to get out of that, whether that's meditate, talk to somebody, see a therapist, share that struggle or challenge with a friend or a confidant, somebody that will actually listen to you. That way you can really feel that feeling. Oftentimes I know when I feel that feeling and put it out there into the world, I feel better afterwards, even though it may feel hard while you're doing it. 5 is accept the support. So if somebody's going to help you, accept their willingness to do so. Asking for help is only half the coin. The other half is actually accepting what they give. 6 is help others. Shane and I have talked about that a lot. The old adage goes, what you give is what you get. So, if you're going to want something in return, start by helping others. 7 is think big. Shannon and I have talked about that a lot. Like, don't put yourself in a box and think small, right? Think huge things, great big accomplishments, a challenge that, it seems like it's so out there. And I would just challenge you to go after that thing. Make a decision right now about something you have always wanted to do or always wanted, and make every effort to make it happen, right? If it's going to Bora Bora, like, think everything that you want to do to get there, and it'll come to fruition. You just have to figure out how to get over those hurdles, those walls, right? 8 is positive mindset. Shane just talked about that a little bit. So, what you think becomes your reality. Number 9 is don't give up. Persistence is a huge factor in overcoming those challenges and obstacles. Just power through those challenges relentlessly. Just go after it. And then number 10 is work smart, not hard. Work smarter, not harder is the term that everybody's heard about, but there's always another way to do it, right? There's kind of this interesting saying that always says that there's more than one way to skin a cat, right? I know that seems a little odd to say, but I'm sure you guys have heard it. And that is, think about the challenge or the obstacle that you're faced with and kind of work it backwards. So you think about, okay, I want to accomplish this thing, and then put an outline together with a plan that will get you there, and then just stick with it and get to work. Like, do that thing and work diligently at it.
That's awesome. I want to build on a few of the things that you talked about. The first one being, I think it was number 3 in asking for help. And that is really hard for us, all of us, to do. We don't feel like we're built that way. We don't want to reach out and ask for help. And I've been thinking about this probably for 6 to 8 months as we've been building on our podcast and meeting cool people. And I think honestly, it's one of the strongest, most honorable things you can do is, if you're in a struggle, reaching out to someone. And you might think, well, that seems really weird, because often we don't reach out to somebody and it might get worse. And I think if you got the strength and courage to ask for help, that is one of the strongest, coolest things you could do, because you're really helping yourself. Like, that, we're all on this earth to help each other. I believe. I think, we all want to be happy, but I also think there's that aspect of helping each other. So we're asking for help to help us. And I just think that takes so much strength and courage and desire. And don't feel like you're doing something wrong. I think you should ask for help. I am guilty of this. It's hard for me to do that. But I feel, as I'm thinking more about it and learning more about the things we talk about and learn, then I understand it is okay to ask for help. Um, be vulnerable and reach out to anyone. If that be Jason or myself, we're
Right.
not experts, but we're living life just like you who are hearing this. We've been through trials and struggles, and so maybe we can help. Um, one thing I think Jason really quickly touched on at the very start was about our mind, and that, there's some neuroscientists that actually say that each one of us has the ability to change the form and the function of our brain. It's called neuroplasticity. And I don't know a lot about that, but I believe that every person, you individually can change your form and function of your brain. You're the only one who can do it. Nobody else can do it. Again, it might be energy that we're talking about. It might be just a mindset. It might be thoughts that you have. It might be thoughts you don't have. Whatever it is, I believe that you have the ability to change the way you see things in your mind. And then that becomes now your reality. So I mentioned I've been going through something over the last few years. Today is typically hard emotional and mental day for me. But the way that I overcome these things or push through them is that I compartmentalize things. So I don't take my struggle, the struggle I'm going through, and I don't put that in the forefront of my mind every day. I feel it for a second and then I put it to the side. So it's not staring at me. It's not going to slap me in the face. It's not going to do any of those things. I feel it every day and then I move on. So, for example, when I go to work, I don't, I'm not focused on my struggle. So I don't take that struggle with me to work. When I come home, I don't take the struggle with me at home. I compartmentalize those things. So while I'm at work, I'm focused on work and the best that I can. When I'm home, I focus on my family. How can I serve them? How can I help them? What do we want to talk about? Do we want to start planning to go to Bora Bora? What do we want to do? Those things. But I compartmentalize those things. That's not saying that I don't feel my struggle and my trial and I don't think about it. I do absolutely every single day. But then I put it away. It's not gone. And I also, we have a Sprinkle with Hope podcast. So hope to us is so important. And I hold on to the hope every single day that this part of my life sometime soon is going to be so much better and so much more rewarding. Now, that's not to say that my life I'm happy. I really am. But there's that little part of me, big part of me, that has to feel that struggle every day. But I compartmentalize it and I put it aside and I don't let that dictate my day. And that's what I'm talking about. I have the ability to change my mind and the function of my mind because I'm putting that aside and I'm not letting that dictate how my day goes. Of course, I struggle and feel that pain. I do. That's not what I'm saying. But I hope that you understand that you can do the same thing. You can take struggles that might be right in your forefront today and you can say, you know what, today I'm going to make a difference. I'm going to feel it for a second. I'm going to put it to the side and it's not going to run my day. And then stop comparing yourself to everyone. I think that's so often we compare ourselves to others and go, well, Jason has a great life. He goes on vacation with his family. He has great kids. He never struggles. He never does this or that. He's always happy. Jason is living life just like you and I. I know he has things that he has to overcome just like you and I. We all do. We're all living life, and that's part of life. I want to share one last quote with you, and it's by Elizabeth Kübler-Ross. She's a psychiatrist, and she was a pioneer of near-death studies, which I thought was very interesting. She says, the most beautiful people I know are those who have known trials, have known struggles, have known loss, and have found their way out of the depths. So I know Jason has shared with struggles that he's gone through when he was younger. I've had personal struggles, but there's so much beauty and happiness that you can find if you as you find your way out of the depths of that, out of those struggles, trials. We've shared some things with you that personally have helped, things that I think Jason shared that are fantastic, simple things that we can do every day, that we can overcome those struggles and challenges that we will face in life. And so I know as we find our way out of those struggles, then we find strength, courage, the energy in us to next time when we are faced with maybe a similar struggle or trial, that we know we can overcome it. You have overcome 100% of your bad days, and you can keep doing that.
I love that. And I just wanted to touch on a couple of those things that you mentioned. Neuroplasticity is awesome. It's that whole rewiring of our brain, and it's the whole concept of, you fold your arms one way, now unfold them and fold them the opposite way. At first it'll feel weird, but repeating that over and over again will rewire that portion of your brain. And it's really just changing habits and things that you do to be a different way. And that's that neuroplasticity. Super cool stuff. Wish I knew a ton about it, but I've got a limited exposure to neuroplasticity, so I don't know all the little ins and outs of how to do that. And the other thing, that you touched about, it kind of reminded me. I saw this super cool bumper sticker yesterday, and it's the whole idea and concept that Shane and I are pushing forward. And the bumper sticker said, "I hope something good happens to you today." And Shane and I think that all the time. And when I saw that, I was like, yes, hope is finally starting to go throughout the world. If that's a bumper sticker, that means that there's hundreds of thousands of those throughout the world that see that. And I hope when people see those, they actually do find something good in their day, right? And I hope something does great happen to you today as you're listening to this. That's the whole idea. Anyway, just love what Shane was talking about. Super great stuff. Hopefully you really listened. So there's an African proverb that says, "Smooth seas do not make skillful sailors." And thinking back to challenges, struggles, obstacles that we face, right? Those bumps or hills in the road, they just make us better, more skillful people to tackle the challenges. Oftentimes people are like, "Why am I going through this thing? This is so dumb. It doesn't even make sense." Well, usually when you're right in the middle of the ocean, you don't understand. But then you get on the other side, you're like, "Oh, now I'm a better sailor. I can tackle those 30-foot waves, no problem." Right? I know how to weave in and out or whatever, and you can make a better sailor of yourself. Shane and I, we always like to have a call to action, right? So here's mine. Think of something you want to accomplish and go after it, like your life depended on it. And who's the person that says you can't accomplish that? And I would say that the only person so far that says you can't accomplish it is yourself. You're the only person that is telling yourself that you can't accomplish it. Nobody else is telling you that. Shane and I most certainly would not. We would say, "Hey, if it's something you want to do, go for it. We'll support you 100%. We got your back. We'll send you the positive energy. We'll talk you through it. Whatever it is that we got to do, we'll help you through that challenge or struggle." But it's only you that's not allowing yourself to get through that. So here's some examples of what you can do. Because I always like to "Oh, well, what if I don't know what to do?" Okay, you could run a race. I've ran one myself. I'm not a particularly fond of running, but I'll do it anyway, just because I like a good challenge. Another one is take on a charity challenge. They do those things all the time where it's like, okay, run a 5K for for this kid for cancer, something like that, right? Or Go and assist somebody in helping clean their garage out or something like that. Do a charity challenge. They're all out there. The third thing is exercise your brain. We talked about exercising our character muscle. We've talked about exercising our physical muscle. You're not going to get strong by curling a pencil. So exercise your brain. Use that brain every day. Think about things that are positive and uplifting and learn about neuroplasticity. Get knowledge. It's out there. It used to be that we had to read it all in books, and I love reading books, but you don't have to just do it that way, right? Where the internet is full of stuff to learn and on any subject that you want. 4 is surprise yourself. I kind of like this. It's like, you have a birthday and you surprise somebody with a surprise party. Well, surprise yourself, right? Do something that's challenging and hard and get over it. And then, wow, I accomplished that great thing. That's an amazing surprise. 5th is volunteer yourself. Already kind of mentioned it. Go and help your neighbor, help somebody else out. Do something nice for someone. 6, get a new job or seek a promotion. So if it's like, man, I feel like I'm in this dead end road, well, talk to your manager. I mean, Shane and I are both in the situation we're in our job because we talked to somebody and said, hey, we feel like we've got something else to give. And so, put yourself out there. Never know. 7 is overcome a fear. Shane and I love talking about this. We've talked about it before. A roller coaster or a ride that you want to go on and you're fearful of it, do it. Start small or whatever you want, but overcome a fear that is something that's causing you to hold back. And then you'll be like, wow, okay, if I can overcome that, then I can overcome this, right? It's kind of that way of working the problem backwards. 8, climb a famous mountain peak. There's a few around where Shane and I live that are on my bucket list of peaks to climb. I've done quite a few of those. That is actually something I do like to do, is go hiking. 9 is join a sports club. You're never too old. Shane just was talking about playing soccer even a few weeks ago. He loves playing soccer. Even still, it's innately in him. I think it'd be hard for him to put those cleats up, but I think he's not doing it near as much as he used to. But join a sports club if that's something you want to do. There's tons of them out there. I know of some local ones that do volleyball and basketball, soccer, softball. Find one that you want to do and do it. It also gets you active. And then 10 is get others up for a challenge. So what I mean by that is, you got one of these challenges you want to do, bring along a friend, right? Bring them along that they're struggling with something too, and let them be part of a challenge or an obstacle. And then I just have one last quote that I want to end with. Roy T. Bennett, who was a Zimbabwean politician, and he's got a lot of quotes out there, ton of quotes. Super, super cool guy. Anyway, he said, your hardest times often lead to the greatest moments of your life. Keep going. Tough situations build strong people in the end. And it's really the crux of what Shane and I are talking about today, which is we are going to be faced with challenges, struggles, obstacles. It's just part of life. It's how we rise to the challenge when it faces us. How are we going to present ourselves to it? How are we going to show up? Are we going to show up small? We're going to show up big. And that's my challenge. And I've already given you my call to action today. Do something today to get you closer to something that you want to accomplish.
One thing that, as you were talking, I just want to end with that I wasn't going to share, but it seems like it's been a little bit since we've talked about these, which is the I am. So I want you to remember and tell yourself, I am strong, I am powerful, I am worthy, I am loved, I'm cared for, all of those things, whatever it is that you are, say those to yourself. So as you are faced with these struggles and trials and challenges of life, that you remind yourself as often as you can that you are those things. And then all the things we've talked about, hopefully something can allow you to get through your struggle a lot easier. So I just wanted to share that with you because it seems like it's been a little bit since we've talked about those, but you are all those things. We care about you deeply. We honestly see you from all over the world. We appreciate every support that we get, whether you're listening to our podcast, subscribe to our YouTube channel. We see you, we feel you, we love you, and are so grateful that you're on this journey with us. So hopefully you got something out of this and that you can face your struggles and trials a lot easier next time.